landfill. And just for the record, you know, those records have been on a DPW maintenance yard since 2006 or 2007, right after Katrina. And I think I got a call on Saturday from the clerk of court. I was out of town in Houston that said that, hey, Mr. Joe, I hear that we got some records in the landfill or some records loose on the maintenance yard. And I think at that time, Darren Lumbert, who is the clerk of court, called me Saturday about 2 p.m., told me about the situation, and we've been on the phone like every day since then to try to ascertain what happened, what was loose, what evidence was loose, and actually the locations where they might be located in the landfill. So I got on the phone Saturday and contacted my director of sanitation, Matt Torrey, asking me if I could get into the landfill with staff. Contacted my director of public works, Rick Hathaway, and had the staff who was managing the debris to ask them about ascertain where the locations were. Now you got to understand the reason this happened is because I had storage containers on the sign and signal shop employees were in that were still storage office models for Katrina. They were in disrepair with mold. I had got identified last year by the union, end of the year in December, that we needed to move the employees. So this was a process. We had just received new storage office models, and we were gonna put the sign and signal shop, move it from Lafitte Road to that maintenance yard. So the employees, the maintenance workers, were in the process of moving stuff out of those trailers and demolishing the trailers and taking it to the dump. That's how this all occurred. And I don't know what the miscommunication was, how the documents got into the dump, but after I talked to my director of sanitation, Matt Torrey, I got the owner and operator of the landfill, it's city-owned property, to open that landfill Monday morning. I had everybody meet their clerk of court and all my maintenance workers and my supervisors to retrieve the documents. So I believe, and I'm not sure, that we've got most of those documents back, but this is a long-going problem that I've had. I took over this position in 2022, and when I did that, naturally I went and looked at all my departments and started touring the facilities. And that's when I first noticed that we had court documents stored on a maintenance yard that wasn't properly secured. So I talked to my capital director, and I think that the clerk of court put in a capital project request to get a new location. In 2020, April of last year's, what we did was started with the clerk of court and NOPD chief of police to tour various locations within the city of New Orleans for a possible location for not only criminal court documents, but civil court documents. We located a building at 601 Galvez. That building is currently in the law department with a lease that we're getting ready to execute with a lease with an option to buy. And that's where all the court documents will be stored, and we'll move them there. So this is a process we've been working on for a year. Unfortunately, when we went to relocate new trailers for our employees to put them in a safe location, from sign and signal to the maintenance yard, and we started the destruction and movement of materials out of those trailers to destroy them and move them to the landfill, the documents went with them. I'm still trying to discern how all this happened. I've been in contact. I just talked to the clerk of court today. I'm gonna meet with him Monday to get a temporary solution for all of those documents that are on the yard right now. I know that I'll answer your questions, but this is an ongoing investigation. I think the governor initiated an investigation with Louisiana State Police. They showed up today. I think the investigator is Michael Mercant. I sent him an email today and told him I want to meet with him next week to ensure that all of my staff and the information they might need to conduct this information is provided. So with that.
Elizabeth?
Maybe want to tie
a couple here. Do you believe that this was a deliberate act? Do you think it was totally accidental? And what is, you mentioned the governor's reaction too, so kind of twofold here. What is your reaction now to the governor getting LSP to step in and to investigate this?
Well, I mean, as a Marine officer, one of my additional duties was investigative officer. So when you have something happen and you have to dig into the causes of something important that takes place, I'm open to any type of investigation. If the governor hadn't assigned the investigation, I would have assigned the investigation, because I was kind of surprised when I got the call from the clerk on Saturday, and I wanted to find out what actually happened during this period of time.
And with that said, just the first part of my question, do you think that this was totally accidental, or do you believe that it was
I think it's
deliberate?
accidental. All the staff, all my supervisors, and the employees knew evidence was on that site. We had 2 trailers and we got a huge building full of it. It shouldn't be there, shouldn't have been there in the first place. So we had started actively to get a new building for that type of evidence, and it's unfortunate that this happened before we could relocate the information.
I know you said you guys have been looking for about a year for a property. What took so long before y'all were able to purchase it? And do y'all plan to fast track and put these?
Yeah, I mean,
now?
everything in government takes a long time, unfortunately. I mean, when you go through procurement, when you go through law, we had to go through law, we had to go through real estate appraisals, we had to take clerk of court, chief of police to tour all the buildings with the CEO to find a good location. We had to make sure that the building met all the specifications. So through that process, I think that we're at a good place to secure this building. That's what we're working on right now. Now, in the interim, to finish your question, we have a couple locations that I won't talk about until I talk to the clerk on Monday. But I think we got a couple locations where we can move the rest of that material there, where we can safely secure it until we get a new building.
Chris? You just said staff knew records were there.
Mm-hmm.
We just spoke with Clerk Lombard, who said Director Hathaway knew records were there.
Yeah.
Whose responsibility was it to make sure that this did not happen?
Well, I mean, I've got several layers of supervisors there. I mean, everybody should make sure it doesn't happen, but I'm still investigating that. So.
Who's the supervisor? Who should have been watching the workers as they moved, theoretically, these trailers, but in practice, these records ultimately into a dump site?
Well, I can tell you, the folks I got working down there are not clerk of courts. They don't maintain records. They fill potholes, asphalt, they do drainage, that's their job. They don't have responsibility of court records. They're just on that location. And like I say, we've got an ongoing investigation right now, and I'd like to find out what happened myself,
Has
really.
there been any discipline for any employees on
No.
that site? Why
No,
not?
because I don't have an investigation, and the investigation's not complete at this time. When that happens, we'll take appropriate action.
Let's move on, Alyssa.
We just spoke with Darren Lombard, and I asked him point blank, do you now trust the city to be the custodian of these records? And he said no. I don't know if you can blame him considering what happened. What is your response to that?
Well, those records been there for a long time. Has anybody ever came to you and say they wanted to move those records? This is your first story, right? 2006. If all I can say is this: I'm working with the clerk of court. I'm gonna meet him on Monday and try to reinstill his confidence. And I've been working with him since Saturday.
Now, Rick Hathaway is the head of Department of Public Works.
Right.
Darren Lombard told us that you have been pretty responsive and cooperative with him, but he has not been able to successfully speak with Rick Hathaway. It sounds like this was his team that did this. Where is Rick? Why has no one heard from him? Why hasn't Darren heard from him?
Yeah, and I really, after Saturday, I kind of took over the reins of this is a critical situation. So as of Saturday, I've been in direct contact with Darren. First, to locate the documents. Second, to try to secure the documents that we still have at that location. And then move into investigative process to find out what actually happened. you know, and talking to Rick and my staff, I'm still not sure how those documents got in the landfill, but I think I'm gonna find out real soon.
Well, knowing that there were sensitive documents there, why was any demolition signed off on without seemingly being very clear that this is what you can move and this is what you can't? Because obviously there's dozens of boxes there.
Right, exactly. Like I say, I'm still in the fact-finding posture. I was gone for 9 days to Houston for my grandbaby's Junior Olympic Championship, and I found out when I was on the road. So believe me, I'm gonna find out what happened, and I welcome whatever inquiries y'all might have that comes back to the city so we can answer them. But
You have the last one.
yeah, but I just want to say, you know, as an investigative officer in the past, once an investigation is open, it's a lot of things I don't even want to talk about. It's not my investigation. It's the governor and the Louisiana State Police investigation. So all I can do is support their inquiry, and their investigation takes prominence over whatever I can do. So I'm gonna let that investigative officer do his job, and we're gonna be able to find out exactly what happened.
Joni?
Well, these guys pretty much asked questions I wanted to ask. But I know early this year, Hathaway mentioned that he had been trying to get those records moved for the last year and a half or so. What was the holdup as far as that goes? Was it just a funding issue?
It was square footage. It's square footage. I mean, I don't think you realize a couple trailers, those are office models. We probably got a 20, 30,000 square foot building full of evidence. So it was just a square footage, finding a location close to the city, close to the courts, that we could secure and put all of those records in that building. We've got a lot of moving parts right now with the courts, municipal and criminal, and we just have to find a location for all of that.
What would you say to the public whose trust has been shaken in the city's ability to manage its own people, it seems like?
I would say that those should have been moved in 2007.
Well,
Or
sure,
2008,
it wasn't.
or 2010. This administration has taken a lead to move those documents, put them in a secure location.
All right,
Point taken, Director Fred,
Let's
but,
wrap.
well,
No,
no,
we're
how
you
would you
cut it off.
respond to the issue of,
Chris,
it seems the
Chris,
city
we're not
cannot
gonna do
keep
this.
tabs
We're not
on its
going
own
to-
people
Chris,
and what
we're
it
going to
does?
wrap it
No.
up.
I'm
The
gonna
threat
let the
to go
Louisiana
to
State
the
Police
all right?
conduct their investigation, and you'll have all those answers.
So
I
we
guarantee
don't
you.
want to relitigate this over and over again. The investigation's gonna go forward. Thank you all for coming. And when we have more info, either from the state police or from our side, we will provide it for you all right? Thanks for coming on short notice today, everybody. We appreciate it.